it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problem, everywhere need God. Tell them easy no man. From your love think it's bad. Full time if you big up me own, yeah. Big up me own.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're in tune to Win FM 98.9. That's on your radio dial. It's Friday again, TGIF for some people, and oh my gosh, it's Friday for others. For me, it's thank God it's Friday. I can't believe it's Friday. So much things have happened. Have it? I don't know. I'm not sure. Because Friday's back here so quickly. I can't remember what I did on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I didn't even realize that Thursday came and went. So I suppose Friday has just zoomed in again. The month, September. September is on its way out, and October is winding itself in. Everything is happening so fast and so quick. We wonder why. Is it the corona? Is it the fact that because we're not thinking, we are so caught up in trying to see what we can do, what the future holds? Is it the fact that we're living too much in the past and thinking too much of the future that we're not embracing the now? I think that is one of the issues. I think, I listened to Sadhguru, and he said 2 problems that humans have. 1, emotions and memories. So if you're always, and that causes us to always live in the past. Secondly, expectations. It means that we're living in the future. One of the problems with humans is that we do not live in the now. And that is one of the biggest problems. So if we should lose our imagination and expectation, then we'll have perfect human beings. So that's what I'm going to live for now. I've gotten rid of all of my memories. So therefore, whatever I would have done then, I would not be able to remember it, and I wouldn't have to live in the past. I would not reminisce. I would only live for the now. So what I would have just said 2 seconds ago, I wouldn't even remember that. And I'm not going to look forward for tomorrow, because tomorrow was not promised to anyone. It has always been said that way. So why prepare for tomorrow when you never have tomorrow? Have you ever lived in tomorrow? No, you've always lived in today. So today is my day. This is my now, and I'm going to appreciate life. So whatever happens now, I'm going to appreciate it. I'm not looking forward to what's going to happen tomorrow, because tomorrow has never been promised to me, and I've never lived in tomorrow. So therefore, I am living for today. For those of you who are planning for tomorrow, I've seen people who have had plans for the next 5 years, and they're not here. They're not around, and they would have missed out on all the joys that today would have presented. So I am going to change my attitude. I'm going to get rid of all my memories. So those of you who I would have offended, I would not know. So I'll meet you on the road and I'll talk to you, because I didn't realize that you and I were not having a good relationship. So all of my enemies and all of my friends, I am starting new ones now. And those are my today friends. So don't tell me, oh, we've been friends for a long time. I forgot that. I am living for today. So let's all see how we can forget about all the troubles. And that's why the world is like this today. Everybody is focusing on the past, and everybody is looking forward to tomorrow. Corona is a reality. We have seen the changes that Corona would have made. We have seen how we have to operate in a new norm, as we would call it, and things are so different to how it was yesterday. And so we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So let us enjoy today. And that is one of the reasons why I decided to bring somebody who's going to give me joy. I just love this guy. He just gives me joy. I like his attitude. I like what he says. I like the fact that he cares not, or he doesn't think twice about what he says, because he can defend it. And people might think that he is just comedy, but I've listened to his messages, and they're so strong. And if you would just take out the personality from behind the message and accept the message, it would mean so much to you. I spend my mornings listening to his program, because it's very inspiring. And some people would not like it because of the fact that he goes to the crux, the root of the problems that we're facing here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And sometimes the thing that he's saying is how we are. And sometimes we have to look at who we are, address who we are, and don't be afraid to realize that that is who we are. If we want to hide it and we want to pretend, or if it affects us, then it means that is who you are, and you don't like it, so change it. Sadhguru also said, if you can't keep your own company, then nobody else should be able to be in your company. So I like being in my company, and I like being in the company of Mr. Dupont. He, you know his name, right? But Carlton, Is it Emmanuel?
Carlton Elroy Emmanuel.
Carlton Elroy Emmanuel, Rastafari without locks,
Dupont.
and no
Soon
Harris.
will be changed to Harris.
Harris. Okay, he's
Yes.
changed his name to Harris. Carlton, welcome to Win FM and Your Views. Your Views is a program that is aired on Win FM every Friday around this time. Your host is always Sandra Carlton, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you. And in my company, I have Carlton. Carlton, welcome to Win FM 98.9 and Your Views.
My views is this. First, I would like to say thanks for inviting me. And I want people to study what the word friend mean. Sandra, you have no idea what you mean to my life. I have always considered you a friend from the time Washi said something about you one day, and I had different thoughts on that. And from there, I always considered you be a real person. By the way, for younger ones who are listening, the meaning of the word friend mean a person with whom one enjoys mutual affection and regards. Give me 30 seconds to read something from the Bible. James chapter 4, 13. Come now, you who say today or tomorrow, we will travel to this city and we'll spend a year there and we will do business and make some money. Whereas you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow, for you are a mist that appears for a little while and then disappears. Your opening statement fits into the scripture.
Perfect.
Live today. Be careful what you do to people. Not like what people doing to Dr. Harris. Sandra, I don't know, after Tango meeting with me and telling me how much he loved Dr. Harris, and after listening to Tango, my inspiration just went up 10 notches. I am not thinking simple anymore about Dr. Harris and the way he was running this country. But my problem in life, we have so many hypocrites around him. I'm scared. And I want to ask one question this morning. Don't let nobody call in if you don't want that. Who made the telephone call? Hypocrisy is ripping St. Kitts and Nevis apart at the moment. There was a concoction before the last election that Dr. Harris should not be Prime Minister. I'm very worried. I know about the concoction. In all my radio programs that I paid over $100,000 for, my own money, I knew about the concoction, but my spirit, my good spirit tell me don't touch it. Wait till election done. But what amazed me, since the election, the concoction was still planning and going on, but they ain't get it work. And I feel good about Dr. Harris. I want the people in St. Kitts and Nevis not to think simple of Dr. Harris and his skills. Young people listen to Dupont this morning. I have no university education. I can't text on a phone. I don't know anything about YouTube and Facebook. But notice the skills of Dr. Harris. Through all his trials and temptation, he's standing tall. And he doesn't make comments on any stupid matters. That is one of the things I'm learning from Dr. Harris, Sandra. Wait, all this thing I know, and Timothy ain't making no comment. Then I went in my prayer room at home, and God showed me why. The wise man, keep listening.
Keep a still tongue.
Yes.
That's what it is. If that's where the program is going to go this morning, let me tell you about what I know of Dr. Harris. I know him as Tim. My first job was at Social Security. We started the statistics department there. It was myself, Harry Green, and then Timothy came.
So you knew him for a while?
I know him since we were teenagers. Yeah, that's how long I know him. So people think that it's a Johnny come lately, just now thing. So I can tell you things about the person who is now, and he is the same person that I knew then. It's the same person he is now. He is one of the most humblest persons that you can ever come across. Too humble sometimes, I say, for a prime minister. But that is the person that I know. Timothy, for me, is the kind of person who, we used to always have it was this kind of relationship that we had. It was like a family thing. And it showed that he's a person. It doesn't matter from which walk of life you are from. It doesn't matter from where, who you associate with. It doesn't matter what your qualification is. I know him as a very intelligent young man. That's what I know of him. I was one of those who recommended him one time because of his the way he thinks he can get over things. To go into politics, you make a good politician. It was a joke then. It was a joke then. You need to go into politics, you make a good politician. And he followed. It's not what I said, but I think that was one of his aspirations. And he was the kind of person who showed early o'clock that was his calling. He was a people's person. He is still a people's person. He listens. One of the things you ask why he doesn't answer, he doesn't say much. He says what he wants to say when he wants to say it. And he is for me, he's a very professional person. And those are the skills that he had, the personality that he had, since the characteristics that he had, that when I knew him as a teenager, and the only thing that has happened to Tim then than now is that he has grown more in stature. And he has achieved basically the goals that he would have set because he's a go-getter. He's a person you could sit in his company and you can have conversations. Him and I still maintain that kind of friendship. It has nothing to do with politics. As you know, he was on this Labour side. I've never supported the Labour administration. I was always on the opposition side, but we always had a very good relationship. That is who Timothy Harris is. Now, he's the Honourable Prime Minister, but for me, I look at him still as Tim because we have that relationship. I don't think he loses friends. He's the kind of person, he can be rigid in the things that he's going to do because he believes in what he believes in, and he believes nobody is going to persuade him otherwise. He thinks before he acts. That's what I know. He consults, and he consults at any level. So you can be an advisor to the Prime Minister. Doesn't matter whether or not you have a high school or college education, as long as you make sense and he can see what you're saying makes sense, then you can advise the Prime Minister. That's the kind of person Timothy Harris is.
I have a problem with him.
Why?
Ian Patches Liebert is hated in number one because of his friendship with Dr. Harris. Why?
But why? Why? I don't understand. I honestly don't understand. Timothy, I listened to you, Dupont, and you said that one of the most famous speeches that I've heard is and I've always held on to it. Sometimes I'm driving and I hear people talk about him, and I said, well, it's obvious that they were not in tune to him in the House of Assembly when he said, Mr. Speaker, if I perish, let me perish. But you always forget this part. But the truth must be told.
Oh, he said that
He
too?
said that. The truth must be told. And those were the words of Timothy Harris when he decided that he would have had enough, and if my family would perish, because that was one of his biggest problems, then I would perish, but the people of St. Kitts and Nevis would no longer have to be under the reins of the Labour Party as Dr. Douglas as the Prime Minister. Those were his words. And he would have held on to that. He made a commitment in the unity construct, and he has held on to that. And if people wants to do otherwise than what was decided, then it's people, then we as the electorate have to look and see, where the real traitor or the hypocrite is. And those are the things that we have to look into. I don't really get too involved in politics. I'm a person who, I look at behind the scenes. I see what is to be done, and it's out of the interest of the people, citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, that I would say things. I don't say it for myself because I'm not dependent on politicians. I've made sure that I made myself. I don't work for government. I have a right to say whatever I want to say because that is my privilege.
So the job they told me that you have and Timothy to pay you is not true?
Pay me how? Timothy pays me where?
Oh, that's...
But if Timothy is going to pay me, he has to pay me big. Because like I said, I am self-employed. So if Timothy has money to pay me, he's going to have to pay me big.
Oh, so it's rumors I'm hearing there.
But it's all rumors. People are going to say what they want to say. People are going to always say what they want to say. But you know what, Carlton? People have a right to say what they want to say. People's statement, people's perception of me doesn't define me. So I talk about people, so people have a right to talk about me. And I forever would talk about people. And if you do something that I have to talk about, I'm going to talk about it too.
Praise the
That's
Lord.
the kind of person I am. And at the end of the day, if I'm not going to lie on you, so if you don't like what I'm saying about you, then stop doing it. Means that you're doing something that you're going against your own conscience. So if I come and say, Carlton, or I tell somebody, Carlton Dupont, he's such and such and such, and it's the truth. if you heard that I say it and you have a problem with it, it means that you shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. So anybody have a right to talk about me.
I have a message for the People's Action Movement. Number one, I want to thank Sean Richards.
Best man.
For holding on to his beliefs and his conscience.
That's the kind of person who Sean is. He's going to be the next topic.
I had a meeting 2 weeks before the electorate voted. And I asked Sean if he will still support Dr. Harris if he get the amount of seats necessary to join with him. He said, under no circumstances I'll do anything different. I couldn't believe, I don't have no hair in my hand and they were standing up. I want to congratulate Sean Richards for his stance. However, let's move to number one. The reason why number one people acting the way they are acting with Patches, I get the answer. Pam still want to be relevant. And so Patches is more supporting Dr. Harris. So they want to put somebody in the seat who will be a real Pam.
But
we're talking about unity.
Yeah, well, this is about this. This is what I'm about to tell you. I mean, in all, I suppose, and if that is the case, then Dr. Harris has to start looking at himself then, because if he wants to continue to be in politics and unity doesn't want to be a unified body anymore, then Dr. Harris has to start looking outside the box and form his own, try to get people in position that who's going to support him then.
Thank
so
you,
what is
Sandra.
going to happen to the unity construct if that is the situation?
So the PAM people are sorry for those in Newtown who had the votes with the two set of groups. Congratulations to those who won, because we are living in a democracy. But there's a secret behind all that happened up there. People not talking about live on air. It's coming out today. There are some elite people in PAM who driving the fuel up there to make sure that PAM stays relevant in Newtown. But they're forgetting something. They're trying to form something else called unity still, mashing up unity.
No,
if Patches and Dr. Harris are good friends, it's still unity.
But Patches ran under the PAM umbrella.
Oh.
So at the end of the day, whenever you calculate seats, if Patches would win his seat, PAM would have 1, PAM would have 4, PAM would have 5, PAM would have 8. I mean, it's the same. You're going to start counting the same way. I mean, it is PAM seats. But at the end of the day, you look at CCM having 3, you have PLP have 2. But at the end of the day, it is a unified body. It's not about PAM seats. It's not about PLP seats. It's not about CCM seats. It's the fact that, because at the end, if you look at the situation right now, if that was the case, then CCM would not be a part of unity, because then PAM have enough to form with PLP. And then CCM would have the 3 seats, and they're not relevant. But that was not the intention.
No.
The intention was that all 3, matters not what the circumstances would have been, they would come together and they would continue the unity construct. People had the confidence in that. The electorates who went to the poll, including myself, voted on the premise that it would have been a unity construct. I didn't go to vote because I think PAM wanted to win the election, or PLP was going to win the election, or CCM was going to bring in 3 seats. I went and voted because for the past 5 years, unity was in power, and they have done a great job. And I felt that they should have, based on their performance, that they should have been given the second term, the unity construct.
This point is important. I don't want it to slip my mind. The last 2 elections before the last, I didn't vote. I was driving, going to the island election afternoon, and something struck me. Carlton, turn around. You and your wife go and vote for Akila. I stopped voting. I don't like politician style. So we turn around and I rang Milo Box and I said, Milo Box, could you check the line for me? I don't want to come up there and got to spend 3 hours. He said, come right now. Nobody in the line. We went and we voted. Guess who I voted on behalf? I voted for Akila because of the style of the leadership of Dr. Harris.
Yeah.
Sandra, St. Kitts people have to listen to me now for a couple of seconds. There's nobody in St. Kitts and Nevis can run St. Kitts at this moment anywhere close to Timothy Harris.
It's true.
And I want St. Kitts and Nevis people to know that the young man, after the judge put down the verdict today, if the young man Jeffrey beat Patches too in that seat, he could come with us too. Because we are all All of us.
Yeah.
This is St. Kitts Nevis.
And if he has-
we need to done with Labour and PAM.
I've been saying the same thing over and again. I listen to people who are intelligent. They're calling and they're calling Dr. Harris all sorts of names. But at the end of the day, these are people who looked at Dr. Douglas run St. Kitts using worse strategies. I mean, selling or swapping our lands for debt, putting us in the hands of the IMF, opening his own personal accounts here, there, and everywhere. I mean, let me retract that. You have companies called what was the name of the company? Lex Consultant. We see things happening, and politicians and people supported that. But look at where we are now. If Timothy is doing what they say he's doing, we are no longer in the hands of the IMF. Our lands that has been swapped for debt has been bought. Not all of it has been bought back, but we have that. We have programs introduced for poor people. That's the poverty alleviation program that they have, PAP. That has been introduced. We are now seeing, you saw the construction of a second pier for tourism. You see all of these things that are happening. We're not saying that Labour didn't do what they were supposed to do, but we were losing a lot on the Labour. We had the SIDF money that was banding around, and we don't see what happened to it. But now we can see, we did lots of transparency on the unity construct. And so we've seen this happening. So people who I thought who would always say, oh, it's not about politics, we are now seeing that is not true. It's about the fact that they were benefiting so much on the Labour construct that they're now not able to appreciate what the unity is doing.
$120 million stimulus. Sandra, the point I want to make on this, if it wasn't for fiscal prudence, we could not have had a $120 million stimulus.
And let me say this. I use that word lightly, fiscal prudency. Every time I refer to the Prime Minister, I said, because of the fact that he practiced the prudency is one of the reasons why we're in a position today. People don't understand what does that mean. It doesn't mean that he has money now. It's because of the fact that he was responsible with the people's purse. That is one of the reasons why we have today, like in our own layman's term, saving for a rainy day. Because Carlton, it's not raining right now. It is raining cats and dogs, and it is pouring everything else that can be poured.
Amen. Can I give you a couple more? 2,000 people got their house roof fixed.
And let me tell you, that is one of the reasons why. Because poor people, house roofs are one of the biggest, most expensive part of their houses. And when I saw poor people benefited, 2,000 poor people. There are other people who twisted and who always use the loopholes, who were not qualified to do so, but benefited from it. We understand that. But when you see poor people can get, it's a government that cares. It shows how much the government, because government normally do things for people who do back things for them. We always say that. We know that. You do favors for people who could do you a bigger favor, and that's what governments do. But when the government is going to look at poor people who can't do anything for you, absolutely nothing.
Cruise ship port at Port Zante, no loans from overseas.
Thank you.
What does that say?
What does that say? We see
Things
that we have the
happening.
talent within ourselves,
Keep going,
and we don't
Sandra.
have to go outside for everybody talk about. Oh, we haven't seen any foreign investment. Why do you want foreign investment when the locals here can do the same thing and benefit the same way? We always look at that nonsense. We always want to send what we have outside. Why don't we look within amongst ourselves? Look what we did amongst ourselves. A second pier.
Sandra, let's move on. Island Main Road, money from here.
No IMF, no Taiwanese, no foreign investors. It is all monies that the government has used again. What does that say? It says that the government has been doing well enough, because infrastructural development is not a you're not going to get money from it directly like that. But it shows that the government, and the fact that we didn't have to source outside, it means that the government is doing well.
Old Road, Bay Road. Old Road construction in the Bay Road down there.
I've been asking the question for the longest time, when would somebody do something about that? And we now see what the government is. It shows how closely related the government is with the ordinary people, because they understand the problems and they're looking, and it gives me goose pimples. I don't have hair on my hands either, but it gives me goose pimples to see at the areas in which they are addressing things, the areas that they are looking at and that they are fixing. It shows that the government understand what the ordinary man problem is.
Let's move on, Sandra. First, I want to alert the listeners and let them know we didn't plan this show, you know.
Definitely not. We didn't even discuss it.
You just called me and asked me if I could come on the program. Yeah. Let's move on, Sandra. 4 double salaries in a row.
Carlton, after the government would have paid that 4 double salary, I mean, the first one, the second one, I said, no, man, this is ridiculous. Me said that. Because I'm like, these people know what they're doing. Where they going to find money from? Then the third one came. I said, hell no. This is crazy. I understand that people need to be rewarded at the end of the year, but I find the government was doing too much. And then the fourth one came. I was like, no. Normally, a double salary was an election gimmick. It was supposed to bribe the electorate. Normally, when you look at the double salaries given, it was always close to election so that people can vote for the government that would give them. It was a bait, and I hated that. It was the slavery mentality that they continue to practice, that black people you only have to give them a little bit and they're going to forget what you did in the years before. And that was one of my problems. But when I saw Unity would have given 1, 2, I was looking for a third and a fourth. I said, no, these people are crazy. But that is not the only thing. With all of that, they were still able to give $120 million stimulus. Where's that money coming from?
Surplus after surplus.
Says the Prime Minister.
I can't. Look, you know what drives me crazy? This one that I'm coming to. $500 per month to some people to bring up their money.
Carlton.
I mean, Guyana on the David Granger administration paid $25 to a household for the COVID relief fund. $25.
And this is a government has been giving $500 every month to subsidize.
Wait.
You ask, then you're going to ask, listen, if Unity stopped paying anything else now, they would have done enough for the next 3 terms. And this is no joke. The ordinary man, and you look at the struggles of young people. No, the way people use their money, it's not the government's concern. And that is why I have problem with people asking the government to give more stimulus. You are supposed to manage your fund, just like the government has to practice fiscal prudency. You in your household have to understand you have to save for a rainy day. That's not the government's responsibility, but the government, the caring government that they are, they have decided that, listen, that's what I said to you earlier, they understand the pains and sufferings of our people.
Let's give with FM something new. I went in the circus 2 mornings ago, and when I walked in, some rich taxi drivers who could afford to pay the bank for anything they owe on confronted me and arguing with me that St. Kitts need a stimulus. I said, Lord, look at that gratefulness at his
But do they understand what a stimulus is?
They know. They're bright people. I could call the names, you know, but I choose not to. I'll call the names in time on my program. So hear this. I say, folks, you're all chatting stupidness, you know. But a guy across the road, he's a taxi driver too, he's a pastor. He called me over and he said, it's not so right, some of the things I hear you saying about Douglas on the radio, for he's the best leader St. Kitts ever had. I said, come and share something with you. I'm inviting you on my program this afternoon for 45 minutes. I'm going to interview you. Have your documents ready to talk about Douglas. He said, no, if I come on your program, I want to talk about Christ. I said, come and tell you something. You don't know anything about Christ. When someone is trained and led by Christ, he or she would only speak things that are relevant.
It's true.
Everything you say is irrelevant. You can't tell me Dr. Douglas is anywhere close to leadership skills. Dr. Douglas is anywhere close to leadership skills of our Prime Minister Harris.
And you are right. Let me tell you, Dr. Douglas would have done all that he understood he was supposed to do. That was what he was qualified to do. But when you make comparison between Timothy and Dr. Douglas, there's no comparison.
You can't. I wouldn't discuss anything with anybody.
And listen, I am not saying this because, you know, it's what you see. when you look at how the country's been run now, Dr. Douglas would have done what he had to. He did what he had to do because that is what he knew. But he cannot be compared to the skills of Dr. Harris today. Not what the Unity Construct is doing.
Sandra, I want Dr. Harris to do something. And I'm very serious. I don't know if I'll get a chance to speak to him, but I hate people coming to me and ask me to tell Dr. Harris things. Dr. Harris, I am not going to take up my phone and call the Prime Minister.
But he has a program.
People think that's the easiest thing to do, to be calling him every minute. He has a lot of work to do. Sometimes I wonder how he do all these programs.
And let me tell you another thing. If you call Dr. Harris, he's going to answer you and he's going to entertain you. And you want to know, how do you find time to entertain so much people and still have a whole country to run? And there's some people who have no conscience. And they feel like every time they pick up the phone, Dr. Harris is supposed to answer.
I want him to do something for me, please. And it will help the nation. There are people in St. Kitts and Nevis, hundreds of them, working. They're close to 60 and over 60 for the government. They have been working for 40 years or more. They should go home.
I think so too.
I'll tell you the reason why. Young people coming from university must be given a chance to excel.
It's true.
Have nice homes, build their families, drive good cars. Sandra, do you know how nice I feel when I drive to my luxury home? I grew up in Sandipa and can't read at 16. Look where I am today from the grace of God.
Exactly.
I want people to do good. A lot of people working for the government. I hope Win FM will play this clip this afternoon, you know. Mm-hmm. A lot of people working for the government should go home. I'll tell you why. They have big savings on the bank. They will get a payment every month for the rest of their life. Give young people a chance to strive.
And they have houses on rent, huh? They would have built their houses and they have them on rent. And these are some people who have no other responsibilities. There's some people who are single, don't have children. They have a social security payment coming in. They have a pension coming in, and they have a salary coming in. It's not right. And there's so many other young people. How do you get experience? You can only get experience when you're working. You have to be in the workforce to do so. So they're talking about these experience. These people should have trained people lower than them. So when these move as supervisor, then another set comes up as supervisor, and the younger one comes in as trainees. And that is how it's supposed to be.
Sanjay, you know what I did yesterday in my store? Someone came and paid for some very expensive wedding bands. I'm training a young man, 23 years, from Guyana. You know what I did? I said, young man, come here. I know you're very fearful. You see this wedding band here? It's paid for already. But I'm going to take a gamble with you. Go up and sit at my desk. You will take my instruction and size this ring. You keep saying you can't do it. He did the ring just as good as I would have done it.
And this is
the money paid for already. I took a risk. He going forward now.
Exactly.
We are not doing that to our black people. And you know what getting me angry? The same people arguing that Black Lives Matter. Trent, tell Bacchus where I say later. Me and Trent a laugh. I shouldn't say that. Nobody got to know Trent here. Sorry, Trent.
Carlton, let me tell you something. You are saying exactly what I say. How could it be right? I've seen, and it pisses me because everybody come to me and say, besides the time, you don't know how I could get a job. I'm trying. I've been home for 2 years, and it hurts me when I see people who can hardly walk trudge into government buildings because they need to go home and relax. They can't sit up for long because they're sleeping on the job. They need to go home. It's not right. And I'm going to say it again. The government has an age 55. After 55 is retired age. If you feel like you have enough energy to do something else, then do something on the side.
But Sandra, you heard me say that this morning?
No, I didn't.
You're very honest, so I trust you.
No, I didn't hear you. I didn't listen to you this morning, unfortunately.
This morning I say, if you want to do another work, go and open your own business. You have enough money.
Didn't hear you say
Lord,
that.
I believe you.
I didn't hear you say that. But this is what's supposed to happen. It is not right. There are young people out there who need the experience of working for themselves. So this is earning a salary. So the experience, that is the experience they're going to get. And like I said, it is simple. Those who are in high positions, like in supervisory and management position, and they're 65 and 70, go home. then the supervisor who's 40 years old will take your position, and then as the manager, and then the person who is 25 going to be 30 is going to take that supervisor position because they've been working for 7 years now, and so that the position is now become available. And those who are unemployed will get a chance to come in as trainees, and so therefore later on they would have the experience that is needed. Because I hate to hear them say, oh, we are holding on to experience. How much longer are you going to use that experience? Use the young minds. They are different. They are more in tune to what is happening in today's world. They are electronic children. They understand what is happening in today's world. The older people don't even want to go on the computers because they don't know how to use them. And so government work is becoming, you go into certain departments, you can't get information. Why? Because they're still doing that long time old thing. You need those young people to come in. These young people that you spend so much money to, send them to school, send them to college, CFBC, to have an understanding of how to operate a computer and be a part of today's, we in tune with where we are in today's world. We need that. Government has to start to look at it now. They have to start to get rid of those people who are getting a pension, who are getting Social Security and still a salary. So they're getting 3 payments, and there's some people out there who are not getting any. And I say this with no water in my mouth. So whoever wants to attack you, Carlton, tell them I was there to succumb for me.
So let's take 10 seconds to do something again. There is a concoction in St. Kitts that was formed to take down Dr. Harris as Prime Minister. I would like to know who made the call so we could move on with the program. This is something I'm trying out because I'm going to ginge something. The word ginge is to do with fishing. I'm fishing. Calls started from Barbados. There was some calls started from Barbados, and there was some calls in St. Kitts to bring down Timothy Harris. He's so brilliant. Sandra, I don't understand why Tango called me to tell me, Licky, what you doing? Spa, what you doing? Nothing, come down by me. You ever consider the works of Dr. Harris, even the people say, here, look out to your family and friends? We hear the new thing I got for Harris. Try to get a bigger family. If Harris looking out for his family.
He has a bigger family.
Well, if he's looking out for his family,
but let me tell you,
and the country going so good, I want him get more.
That's the extended family.
Why you think I changed my name to Harris?
That's the extended family he has. Let me tell you something. And Tabernacle people, I remember, and I can tell you, I remember when Tim was going to run, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, she and I used to work TDC together with my adopted daughter, and I said to her, girl, you can go vote for Timothy? She said, girl, yeah. You know who Tim being? Tim is a people's person. Everybody in Tabernacle related. And Timothy is that everybody is his relative. That is why they voted for him. And that is why he would always win there. Because he look after his people. Not just his family. He look after his constituents. Nobody, and it doesn't matter who you put in there to run against him. And
Sandra, what if he looking after his family?
And I would have done that. Let me tell you, Carlton, because you say you're Mr. Honest. If you were to become the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, who the first you look out for?
My family.
Well, let me tell you, let me tell anybody who think, if I'm to run for politics, or if I have a problem with looking out for my family, then don't vote for me.
Thank you.
Because they're going to be the first people on the list. Because at the end of the day, let me tell you what happens. My family would not have been responsible for me to go into politics. But when I go into politics, my family would be affected because the same people who are saying they look after and looking after their family is the same people who are going to bring down your family. So why my family should suffer because I went into politics, and they should not benefit because I went into politics?
Wait, Sandra, that's a brilliant point. Okay. I've never thought of that.
Okay, great. So that is what they have to suffer because I made a choice to go into politics. So why can't they benefit from the choice that I would have made? Whoever said they would not look after their family, then they shouldn't run for politics because they lie.
They told me he should move his brother from the bank over there. But what I'm learning is that his brother was at the bank before he got in.
His brother used to work at TDC.
So why are they telling me that
and
then?
Dougie was the one who took his brother and put him in the bank. He had nothing to do with him.
Why people?
All of Timothy's family has been placed in the positions that they're in now. Under the Labour administration, Timothy was not the Prime Minister then.
For real?
Ask the question again. Send out that other question. You see, people have to stop it. People have to stop it because they would have done the same thing.
And maybe worse.
And worse. Because they will have been looking after their family and they were in double looking after themselves.
Well, Sandra, I wonder who get up in your mind to tell me come over here. Because
I don't know.
Trent was laughing a while ago still, you know. Me never see a man laugh so long yet. Sandra, another thing I want to throw out in case people listen to the program, tune in late. I am looking forward for more Nivisions to come over here to do business.
Nivisions are, let me tell you, I'm Nivision not by birth, born, bred, and reared, and forever would be a Nivision.
You are a Nivision?
I am a Nivision before I am a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. That is first and foremost. I am Sandra Nevis in me. And if you're Carlton Rastafarian without locks, I am Sandra Queely, Nivision Atherton.
Really?
That's who I am.
Why are they not coming though?
Who, Nivisions?
Down here to do business.
The divisions come to St. Kitts to the business like going to St. Martin. Most KFC can. If Nevis people don't come to St. Kitts, KFC closed down. Trust me. They come to St. Kitts to do business. They come to St. Kitts just to buy KFC and go back out. Nivisions come to St. Kitts all the time. But Nivisions are quite comfortable. We were raised that way. We are quite comfortable with the things that we have. We come to St. Kitts, we catch a boat. Why do you think the boats run? And they're bringing in so many, every minute you see, there's an added fleet, added. Because Nivisions are coming to St. Kitts.
I am shocked to see the amount of money that Nivisions are spending in my business week.
Well, you see, that is why Honorable Mark Brantley should make sure that you come to Nevis and open a business so that money can circulate in Nevis, and encourage you to go back to Nevis and open your business. And maybe that's what he needs to encourage. Maybe he needs to encourage KFC to take one of their franchises in Nevis, or just a drive-through.
I find KFC stay very long though to open a KFC in Nevis.
Yeah, I think they look at the population small, but they should start to calculate what the percentage of their clientele come from, where it come from. And they would know it's from Nevis. Nivision, when you leave in Nevis and they say, you go in St. Kitts, yeah, bring back some KFC for me. That's one of the things.
I'm very controversial. I want to ask you something open and air, because we are two people who expressive and can speak our minds.
Yeah.
What you think about these big crowds of people they had over Marriott and in Nevis last week?
It's super ridiculous. Let me tell you something, Carlton. We have to remember that we have 2 confirmed cases, 2 active cases right now in St. Kitts and Nevis, right? Every single body was not tested. There's some people who are not showing any symptoms of the virus. We don't know whether or not we are truly corona-free. And when we start taking these chances, and it is super ridiculous, because at the end of the day, we don't know where we stand with the true facts of the coronavirus. The testing, we can't even trust. And so we have to continue to practice. There's so much. Look, the Independence parade wasn't. The celebrations were curtailed because of the fear of COVID. And then you have all of these important things had to take had to go on the back burner. And then people are doing these irresponsible things of having these big parties, young people not realizing what is happening.
And why people are blaming the police when big men and women doing such stupidity?
People have to take responsibility for themselves. The police, how many? So you have a police officer to every individual? People have to start, at the end of the day, it's not the police who's going to be infected. It is you, and you have to start to exercise that responsibility.
So people are saying on the talk shows, the police not doing their work.
What is the police job? If the police start locking them up now, they're going to talk about police being too aggressive.
Do you know, in this country, we are too hard many occasions on police officers?
Dupont, that is true, but I'm going to say, I'm not going to go down that road because I can be very
that's why we're talking. You and I are the type, we could just talk things.
I have a problem with the police officers sometimes.
Let's go.
Honestly, I think, they have to understand, and they have to be more responsible themselves. Police officers here are doing a lot of nonsense sometimes. I had to stop them. We are not allowed to park on yellow lines, yet still they drop off their own personal baggages on yellow lines. We are not supposed to be on the phone, driving, on the cell phone when we are driving. Police officers are doing that. I had to I pull them up. Somebody pull alongside them and say, why are you doing it? Are you above the law? And so police officers have to make people want to respect them themselves. Okay, and so therefore they're supposed to behave accordingly. Not because you're a police officer that means you can break the law. And we see that happening a lot of times. And so when people start to lash out at the police officers because they don't have the confidence in the police force. And that is an area that they have to start looking into.
Well, I asked Rose 2 days ago why people so hard on her. She said, I don't know, but I have my work to do. You know, Rose?
If who doesn't?
Oh, good. To me, she will summons just about anybody for doing wrong, even if it's her family. I take a lot of interest in looking at her. I observe her well. I heard her telling a woman one day, you know, I am going to give you a ticket. I spoke to you about this before. People don't say those things about Rose, and I'm vexed. When you're criticizing a man in his duty, but you know of something good he did in the same duty, say that too.
Yes, sure.
That bothered me a lot as a human being. So when it comes to the police, Sandra, you see why it's good for the two of us to be on radio? We don't plan anything. And even if we cross-thread each other, that's a natural thing to life.
Natural. Very, very natural.
And
You're not me.
I want to say good morning to Mr. McMahon and your program.
Who? Ira?
Ira McMahon.
I'm going to allow you to do that.
I have serious problem with him.
Oh, everybody does. But he's a nice person.
I love McMahon as a decent human being, but I think he's misleading our young people in terms of his comment on the radio. Being an educated man, he can fool them sometime with his comment as if he's so right. For instance,
because you know why? He uses all these big words that you don't have an understanding of. And so because he's so eloquent, you people might believe, oh, the man know what he's saying, because you never understood one word he said because of the big words that he used.
Do you have problems with him sometimes?
Who doesn't? As an individual, Ira is not a bad person, and I understand him. I understand why he behaves the way he behaves. He haven't given him a chance to see whether or not he could benefit under the unity construct because of the things that he goes out and say. But I've listened, I've heard him on programs, and I've listened to the Prime Minister responding to him. And if Ira would he has a lot of information, and if he really wants to see the government moving in other directions, he should use the medium to do that. The medium that he's using, that is social media, talk shows, to get the government to do what he thinks is the right thing to do. But he goes around and he attacks, he criticizes without merit and without facts. If you have all the information that you have and you think that, you know, the government is tilting on one, have a talk with the Prime Minister. He's open to talk to anybody. Do that and then see how you can, but don't go around behaving like bitter, that you're so bitter, and that you like, you know, you heard the statement about sour grapes.
Yes.
That kind of sour grapes mentality.
But I'm worried about him because he won't be short on cash. He's an educated man. He would have made enough money, I believe, to live a comfortable life now. Mm-hmm. I 100% believe that. And even if he was short, he has the skills and ability to acquire a job that would give him something.
But he's worked. But he's not dependent. When the
government doing good, he's criticizing so heavily.
Like I said, he has a right to do so. But at the end of the day, if he really wants to achieve what he said he really wants to achieve, that is good governance, then I think that his approach is not right.
Sandra, I have something to say on this program might cause some problems. I look up on the clock. Trent, we have 5 minutes, that's correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want us to overdo it. I want young people in St. Kitts and Nevis to pay attention with what I'm going to say. I want people to listen to Charles Wilkins a little more.
Yeah. You know what I like about Charles?
Tell me.
Charles is not biased. At one point, when he first started to talk about, you know, the shortcomings of the government, I was like, oh my gosh, why now? But and that's why I started to have great respect for him, because it's not about the timing, it's about the issues. And he brought them out, and if we really look, if the government has made these promises, they have to make good on them. And you need people like Charles Wilkins, who people have the confidence in, and who understands politics more than us, because they're more intelligent than we think that, you know, than us, because they're in law, they have the legal mind and everything else. And the fact that he is not You know, he's not going to suck up to anybody because he's an independent person. He doesn't need the government. He's not going to suck up. I listen to him because then I realize the things that he says, you know, it's things that you really should listen to. If the government has a problem with it, then do what you're supposed to do. That's
so
what I like
Sandra,
about Charles.
people criticizing me, coming down to the store and telling me, why are you talking good about Charles Wilkins before election on your program? He doesn't like the government. Oh, but you said something a while ago. The issues he deal with at all times.
Yeah.
I have never ever lived in this life and see Charles Wilkins as a biased person.
No,
he has always touched the topics at hand. So I want to encourage the youngsters in this country, not the older heads. Go to the last broadcast. I wish I could get it. That Charles Wilkins did. I almost went crazy.
But you know, Carlton, if government make promises, not because I support the government.
Yes.
Government have shortcomings. And government themselves, ministers themselves would say that. It's not everything they can do. And I mean, they would have made statements that they're going to do this, but it was not possible for it to be done. So Charles reminds you of your promises that you would have made to the people. What is wrong with that?
Well, there's another man who comes here occasionally I want them listen to. Snideman Warner.
That Snideman has good humor. Warner.
Sandra, he speak about finance and so.
He's a luminary.
The young people will get a chance to understand some of the things they need to do if they want to run their finances in a proper way. Listen to Snideman Warner. Listen to Charles Wilkins. Keep listening to the lady. What's her name? She used to come here on the program every Saturday. Sylvie Henry.
Oh, that's my mentor.
I thank you so much for inviting me to this program.
It was a pleasure.
I feel good.
I am so happy that you accepted my invitation on such short notice, and we want the public to know that you and I have not had any discussions of what you're going to talk about.
Oh, gosh.
And because people might think that we would, and I don't discuss, before I interview anybody or talk with anybody, I don't tell them what the program is going to be about. We always talk and whatever happens. And I'm grateful to Japan. And you know what people need to do? People need to start listening to your program. Sometimes, and people say, oh, he gets out. But you're saying, the fact is that you're saying the truth. And the people, one of the things about human is that they have problems with the truth. And so I would say to you that it is always a pleasure listening to you. I like your style. Your style is one that some people think that is not the way it should go. But I like the way you bring your program over. Everybody's supposed to understand because that's the culture we are.
Give me 10 seconds. This is the last comment. Oh, thank you very much. I want to ask the public a question again. Thank you, Trent. I'm asking the people in St. Kitts and Nevis today. Please, answer me. You could come by the store and answer me. There was and still is a concoction in St. Kitts and Nevis to remove Dr. Harris as Prime Minister. Where the call started and who made the call.
You're still saying that? You're still saying that?
Yeah, I'm doing what you call gingin for tacky.
But let me tell you, Carlton, and I have no fear. I think that the unity government is doing what the people have elected them to do.
Yes.
When they cease from doing what the people elected them to do, I would be one of the people who are going to take them out of office.
Do we still have a unity party?
We do have a unity party. If
Okay.
they don't want to operate as a unified body, then the people would see. At the end of the day, the people would see who are the ones who are posing the problems, and the people would make that decision. You know, that's one of the good things about the electorate. The country's still doing what it's supposed to do. The government, they're still operating as a united body. I don't know. I mean, in every construction, as long as humans are in it, you're going to have controversy.
Sandra, listen to this one. You know, I will like to get a sneak peek, just a little peep in of what cabinet meeting is like with a concoction going on.
Well, you know, they're not as hypocritical as you think they are because a lot of information would have leaked. And I must say kudos to them that you don't have that leakage, that number, you know, that kind of leakage out there yet. You still look at them as honorable men. Whether or not there are things going on, we don't know. I don't know. you hear people would say certain things because people would make certain statements, and people like us, we are very attentive and we understand what is going on. We pay attention, and so we can see that it's not all hunky dory as they would create the impression that it is.
But some of them are afraid to make their moves.
But why would they want to make a move, though? I said to you, and let me warn them. Let me warn them. The people voted for a unity government. People were very much impressed of the work done by the unity government, the promises kept by the unity construct in 2015 up to 2020, and people voted for that. So if the government wants to, if the people of the unified body wants to separate themselves, then the electorate is going to do otherwise.
What do you think will happen today at the court? Patches case. Think a result will come?
Patches have asked for the not the spoiled ballots, but those that are rejected to be looked at again. It's for the judge to make that decision whether or not they're going to look at it. And when they look at it, then they would make the decision whether or not, because people think that you have to, as long as you show, according to the law, as long as you show intent, then the ballot is yours.
So you're on the same opinion, feeling with me that today wouldn't really be a decision for the outcome.
No, it's just to see whether or not
else.
they're gonna count over they're gonna look at they will be able to have access to opening the box, because you can't open the box unless the judge makes that decision. So the judge is supposed to say whether or not he would allow them to go back and look at the rejected ballots and count them over.
How is it so many people feeling that today is an end result of that case?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not properly informed, but I think based on the information, because a lot of us don't pay attention, because everybody felt like the 17th that on the 19th, it was the 17th. On the 17th, Patches would have had, the results in and ready and done. People never had an understanding of what it was. And so sometimes we don't pay attention as we should pay attention, but let's wait and see what's happening.
Thank you again for having me.
It was a pleasure having you, and we want to say thanks to Mr. Bacchus for allowing us the additional 5 minutes. That's one of the reasons why I like working with Win FM 98.9. I don't know other people's experience, but I've always been treated special. I don't know why, but I've always been given chances. Yeah, thanks to Trent. He's the big man behind the whole thing. Trent has my back, and I always feel proud. The one thing I know, Trent would not come to work otherwise until he knows that I'm on the program.
Trent, that's a good joke.
When he knows he's never late for my show, because he just likes to make sure that I'm comfortable. And I like that about Trent. He has my back. So I've never had any experience of working. I love working at Win FM. It gives me pleasure to do programs like this, and I'm looking forward to the future to start hosting other programs. So there are other programs that can be hosted where a lot of young people can get involved. We have that, and I think that those are areas that we need to start looking into. We have programs that we can talk about ordinary adults who are having issues, marital problems, people, women who go into menopause. We don't have programs for that. These are the realities of life that sometimes we need to showcase. So I'm going to start looking at programs where we can look at people on a whole, and to see how we can look at how we can form a better society and a country, St. Kitts and Nevis.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure, Carlton. It was like a breath of fresh air. It was like food for me. I wouldn't have lunch. I feel satisfied, so I'll go home and get some things done. Trent, I want to thank you as always. Sometimes I don't recognize him, but people don't know that without Trent, I can't have a program, the successful program that I do have. And I want to thank Mr. Bacchus. He always gives me extra time, and I'm infringing right now on 1 minute overtime, so I need to wrap up and say it was a pleasure, and always been a pleasure to have you, Carlton. I will have you next time when I feel like I want to vent and we want to expose the government for what they're doing, not because you're a Harris. I know that you're not a biased Harris, and you're going to talk about what you're supposed to talk about when the Prime Minister is not doing what he's supposed to do, because I would do that.
Me will do that.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely do that. So
Trent, have a good day.
we would definitely, continue to do what we are supposed to do. My name is Sandra Carlton Dupont. It was a pleasure having you, and I look forward to doing the same thing next Friday on Your Views.
Lord.
Right,